Hi everybody, a very warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage, and we are going to be back on Project Ninja in this episode. We're going to get the tank off, get the carbs off, thoroughly go through them, give them a good clean, make sure there's no gunk inside them, and hopefully then reassemble it all, and possibly even get it going. That's fingers crossed, that's the hope. So without further ado, let's crack on with this. We need to get this tank off, which is literally held on with two 10mm at the front here, two 10mm at the back. We'll lift that off, see what's connected underneath as far as pipes and whatever, work out what we need to take off, and then hopefully we can get to the carbs underneath. Let's crack on. With the tank unbolted, we can see under there are two pipes, one of which has completely snapped. You can see the end of it just in there. That's the end of that pipe there, and that should be connected to the bottom of the tank there, which has totally come off. The other one's still on there, as you can see. So we'll get the switch on the tank turned off. We'll take that pipe off, then we can remove the tank completely, and that'll allow us better access. Looks like the air box is obviously there as well, so we'll probably need to take that off too, just to give us a bit more access in there. I'm not sure how that comes apart yet, because I've never taken one of these apart, so this is all new to me. So if I do anything wrong, go easy on me, because I'm learning as I go. So I'm going to get that pipe off and we'll go from there. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see, tank's off. Now, what is slightly concerning is, Gemma's cousin said he put some fresh fuel in this. He drained it and put some fresh fuel in it, but as you can hear that on camera, all I can hear inside there is bits of dirt and grit moving about. There's no fuel in it at all. So that leads me to believe that that pipe that's obviously broken off there has obviously let all the petrol out, and that's obviously why it wouldn't start, because obviously everything's come out of it and there's nothing left in it. But it sounds like we definitely need to clean this tank out, because that is not sounding very healthy in there by the seams of it. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. I want to try and get the carbs off first, and we'll work our way back up again, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's delve in a little bit deeper. From the looks of it, the carbs, you can see that on camera, the carbs are basically here, so they're not too far under anything. I just need to take that air box off. You can see the tops of the carbs just there, look. So it should be fairly straightforward to get to, hopefully, which is kind of nice, because obviously on a full fared bike, or virtually a full fared bike like this, things are obviously all covered up and can be a bit of a pain to get to. But in this case, it looks like we are going to be quite lucky. So I'm going to work out how this airbox comes off, and I'll come back to you in a second. Rightio, I've got the lid of the airbox off. As you can see there, it's held on with 7 10mm, and that then obviously shows you the element, which isn't in the greatest of health. It's not terrible, but it's not great either, so we'll probably be replacing that. So yeah, that's that. And it looks like the lower airbox is just held on with these two bolts here, I'm hoping. If not, then it's going to be those little gold ones in there. I'm not sure whether all the carbs, that one's completely cool. Look at that, right? They should move quite fairly freely like that. This one is absolutely completely stuck solid, and so is that one. So those two carbs this side are completely stuck solid. They have got no movement in them at all. These two are okay, but these two are stuck. So it's definitely a good thing that we're taking these out and giving them a good going through. I'm going to work out how this comes off, and I'll come back to you when I've got it off. Let's crack on. Okay, lower airbox is off. That was just those two 10mm in the middle. The bottom half is just this plastic thing. I may have to take that off as well, obviously, to clean it all properly, but just to get them out, we should be okay. I just wanted to show you a bit better with a screwdriver. You can see the plunger on this one, lovely and free. Plunger on this one, lovely and free. Obviously that's the needle you can see in the middle there, which is what meters the fuel. And this one, completely stuck. Oh, there we go, just popped it. Just popped it with the screwdriver. Let's try this one, see if this one will move. Yep, there we go, popped it again. So we now have 4 moving carbs again, which is great. That's really good. I still want to take them out, and obviously make sure there's no sediment or mank in the bowls or anything like that. Make sure they're all right, not sticking anywhere. It's good that they're free. I was a bit worried about that, but now that seems to be okay, so that's good. So I'm going to try and work out how these come out. I'm not 100% sure how these come out, and then we'll go from there. Let's carry on. Okay, having looked at this a little bit, it's got obviously rubber sort of inlet ports, I suppose you would call them, which go from the engine to the carbs. They've got two Allen headed bolts that hold them onto the engine. We don't really want to be touching those. We need to undo. They've got like on the carb side, they've got like a basically what is a Jubilee, not a Jubilee clip, but it's like a Jubilee clip with a screw on it. And you can just about see, if I shine the torch in now, hang on a second, I can't see where it is. You can just see the end of the thread there. That is what we've got to get to on each one, and just unwind that a few turns to hopefully allow us to pull the carbs off the top of the engine. It's going to be really fiddly because obviously all this is in the way. We're going to take a few of those pipes away and get those out of the way, which will obviously give us a bit more access. It's going to be quite time consuming, I think, so I'm going to fiddle about trying to get these off, and when I've got them off on the bench, I'll come back to you. Let's crack on. Okay, we've had some success. Carbs are now loose. Woohoo! That wasn't actually as bad as I thought. Now you can see, if I shine the torch in now, this is where, I'm just trying to get so light. You can see the top of the rubber boot there with the little clamp around it and the screw. That is what I was getting to, and luckily enough they all came undone really easily, so that's great. I've got a few pipes to disconnect, and I've also got to disconnect the throttle cable from this side and the choke cable from just there, and then we can get these on the bench. So it shouldn't be too much longer, and hopefully we'll get some cleaning done. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, carbs are now off the bike and on the bench, as you can see here. I'm trying to work around all my Reliant bits that I've got everywhere. So the first thing we're going to do with these, I wish you had smell-o-vision, because the fuel that's coming out of these is absolutely disgusting. It's really varnished and horrible and old. So we're going to pop these bottom caps off each carb, which is where all the jets are inside there, and obviously have a good look to see what's what and what needs cleaning out. And also once we've done that, then we'll pop these tops off, and we'll make sure that the diaphragms inside, we've got like a rubber diaphragm with a spring, which is what makes these float up and down. So I would imagine they're probably okay, but we'll check them anyway. All these seals on here are all nice and supple still and squidgy, so that's good. We can reuse those, no problem at all. So yeah, we'll get these, I'll get the first one of these off and then I'll come back to you. Just tip this carb up, and as you can see, the colour of the fuel coming out of it is pretty gross. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. We definitely, you can see it's like yellow, so it's definitely past its day and is in need of flushing out, definitely. Right, I'll come back to you in a second when I got one of these caps off. Okay, with the first bottom cap off, you can see in there all the varnished fuel in the bottom of it, which has gone absolutely manky and horrible. And look around the edge of that jet there, you can see the corrosion and everything around it. It is not looking very healthy at all. This is the bit I'm looking at just here. So this is really manky and corroded up. So I think we're definitely doing the right thing with taking this apart and cleaning it out. I'll get the float out and obviously the needle and seat out, and we'll have a look at that and see what sort of condition that's in, because chances are that's going to be needing a clean as well. I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, I've just got that float out, and actually the needle doesn't look in too bad a condition. It needs a clean, but it's not got any gunk over it, which is great. So I'll get the jets out next, and we'll have a little look in there and see what sort of condition they are in, and obviously clean out all the holes in them with a bit of carb cleaner, and get them all back to where they should be again. Let's carry on. Okay, the main jet, if I hold this up to the light, you can see through that one, no problem at all. When you take the tube out underneath it, you can see through a couple of the holes one direction, but the other direction you can't see through anything, so that is all totally clagged up in there. You can see it there, so you can see there's 3 or 5 holes on that side, and you can only see through 2 of them. 2 holes on that side you can see through. Obviously that's the other side of those holes, so you can only see through 3 going that way for whatever reason. So that definitely needs a damn good clean up as well, which is obviously what we thought, so that's a good thing that we're doing this. Inside there isn't too horrendous. It's pretty clean. I will obviously inspect everything else. I'll take this seat out and make sure that that's all clean inside, maybe get a cotton bud inside there, make sure that that's all cleaned out. Yeah, and then we should be hopefully start putting things back together. There's a jet in here which I need to take out as well. You can probably can't see it, but there's one in this left hand hole here as well, which is probably the idle jet, I would imagine. Need to take that out and make sure that one's not gunked up, because that is smaller holes usually in that one, so that will probably block up a lot more than normal. Now just another thing, you can see these bubbles on the surface of my workbench. That is actually water in the fuel by the looks of it, so that is moisture in the fuel, so that definitely wouldn't have run. So there's well, there's 3 reasons why it wouldn't have run now. There's the first reason being those 2 carburetors that we looked at when we first took the airbox off were totally stuck, so they would never have opened. The second reason is the fuel is completely varnished up and the jets are blocked, and the third reason is there's loads of water in the fuel, so definitely would have never run on that. So yeah, that is definitely a good thing that we're getting all this cleaned out and flushed out. You can actually see the water dripping out of this tube on there. Look, that is all water coming out of there now. So yeah, it is definitely a good thing, definitely the right step to take, I think, by the looks of it. So I'll carry on and I'll come back to you when I've got another update. Okay, this is the little needle that the seat, sorry, this is the seat the needle sits in. You can see it's got like a little mesh piece on the bottom there. That actually looks pretty clean, to be fair. I will give it a blast through with some carb cleaner, but that looks pretty okay. The seal round it isn't ideal. It's a little bit flat and very hard, so I'm not sure whether we might have to change those or not, to obviously make it seal properly again. I'll do a bit of investigation work into that and find out obviously if they're available and what we can get if we need to. So yeah, carry on going and see where we get to. Okay, it's actually the next day now, and I've had these main and pilot jets soaking in thinners overnight. They are all clear as far as the little holes on the sides you can see there, but the hole going through the centre is still blocked up on both of them, in fact. So I've actually taken the cover off the next carb. You can see all the gunk and everything around that one. It is not in the greatest of health, same as the first one we took off. You can see all the fur around the main jet here and around this screw up here. Maybe that one won't make any difference, but obviously all the fur around that, and probably the pilot jet in there is probably going to be the same. So I'm going to take those 2 jets out of that one and just see whether you can see through the middle of them or not, because I'm not sure whether you're actually supposed to be able to see through the middle. I'm pretty sure you are, but I can't get them to clear out at the moment. So I'm going to take these ones out and see what sort of condition these in, and carry on from there. Okay, main jet is out, as you can see by that. It's completely clagged up. You can't see through any of the holes when you hold it up to the light on the sides or through the middle. So that is well clagged up. The main jet that goes in the middle of that is okay. You can see through that one. You can see through it there. Look, obviously it's quite a big hole in that one. But yeah, so I want to get the pilot jet out now, and I think it's probably going to be more of the same, and probably the same on these other 2 as well. So yeah, got a bit of a clean-up operation going on here. Let's carry on. Okay, I've had a little bit of progress. I've had a little look online, and supposedly you can't see, or you're not supposed to be able to see through the end of the main jet. So I was barking up the wrong tree on that one. All the side holes are clean, but apparently you're not supposed to be able to see through the middle of that holder. Obviously you've got the bit that goes in the middle of it in there, which you can see through, so we'll go with that, and hopefully that's right. The pilot jet you are supposed to be able to see through, and as you can see there now, you can see through the middle of that. See the light through it, so that is good. So now I've got to do that on all of them because they're all absolutely clagged up. and obviously then that'll hopefully let the bike idle properly, because otherwise it won't idle, because the pilot jet is for the idle circuit. Now you can see the difference between the two I've cleaned and the two I haven't. See all the varnish in there? It's really thick with varnish in those two corners. This one's not quite so bad. Again, inside here you've got a lot of corrosion around these screws, which won't make a lot of difference, but obviously you don't want that dropping into your fuel when it's in there. And some not quite so bad corrosion around the jets in these ones, so we'll have a little look at those, make sure they're all right. Give them all a clean out, clean all the tops. I mean, the top half of these bowls where the float's sitting are okay actually, because obviously the fuel's not been sitting against them, it's been sitting in the bowls on the bottom. So we'll give it a good clean out. I've done these two already. We'll carry on with these two. I'll make sure all these pilot jets are clear, and then we can put it all back together and get it back on the bike. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, I've got those first two on the right back together again now. Those jets cleaned out fairly easily once I knew which ones needed to be cleared. And a bit of compressed air, and they come out lovely. Now I've just taken this third main jet out, and as you can see, it is absolutely full of crud and black varnish. All the holes are blocked up, so this would definitely never have run. And if it did run, I would have been very surprised, because it wouldn't have run very well. As you can see, every hole in that is blocked up. I'm going to give that a soak in some thinners and some carb cleaner, give that a clean out. We've got these little needles that clean out carbs. They've got like serrated edge on them, so you can sort of run that through and it cleans the middle of the jet out. I'm going to get the pilot jet out as well, and also I've been cleaning out this hole in the carb as well, because these have all been completely gummed up and packed with stuff as well. So far all the needle and seats have been absolutely fine. I've took all the needles out. That one's just on there at the moment. You can see it's all good and clean, that's no problem. The seats have all been fine, as has the mesh on the bottom of the seats, so I'll just give them a quick clean with a bit of brake carb cleaner, I should say, and they should be all right. So yeah, got to do one more on this one, obviously, on the end, and then we can start getting belted back in the bike. Let's carry on. Okay, last but not least, again we've got the same story with this. Packed full of junk in the end of the main jet there, and the pilot jet is completely blocked when you look through it that way. So we're going to give these a little soak up, do exactly the same again, and then we can flip it over, make sure the diaphragm's all right, which I dare say they probably will be, but we'll check them anyway. Take the sliders out, make sure there's no grit in there, because obviously two of them were jammed before. So we'll take those out, give them a bit of a clean, make sure they're all free running. We know they're free running anyway, but just make sure there's nothing going to stop them from being free running again, if that makes sense. Clean the needles and put it all back on, see what happens. Let's carry on. Okay, the bottom end of the carbs is now back together. I've just taken out the first diaphragm on the top, which has got the needle on the bottom of it, and as you can see there, the needle is got gunk all over it, which is probably what caused it to stick when it was in the bike. So we're going to get that all cleaned up, obviously make it all nice and shiny again, get all the gunk off of it, and that should prevent it from sticking in future, hopefully. Inside the housing doesn't look too bad. Obviously I'll run a little brush down there and make sure that's all clean, and then we should be good. So I'm going to go for each one. They're all going to be exactly the same, so I won't bother showing you each one, because obviously it's the same thing. I'll get all these done and then we can start putting it back on. Lovely, let's carry on. I just thought I'd show you what actually came out of this carb. This is obviously brake cleaner and thinners I've got in here, and if I move it out of the way, you can see all the sludge and silt at the bottom of it there. Now I dare say that isn't all of it, because some of it probably went over the floor, but that is quite a lot of it, and as you can see, I don't think that would have done it a lot of good. Right, let's get these carbs fitted back on. Rightio, we're back over on the bike now, and I'm just starting to hook things back up. Hooked up this pipe down here. I've also hooked up the pipe onto the block down here, and I've also cleaned out this little cylinder down here as well, which was actually full of gunk. I've got the choke cable back on, and I've lubricated this slider mechanism, so that's all nice and free now. Next thing to go on is the throttle cables, which just go on this spool on the side here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of WD around these inlet ports, and hopefully that'll aid that sliding into these boots okay. And then obviously we've got the little fiddly task. These are the screws that I was saying to you about before on the clips, on these clips here, which are the fiddly ones. So I'm going to try and get those done back up again, obviously once the carbs are on, and then we can hook all the other pipes and everything back up. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, carbs are all back on. Everything's plumbed in as far as I can go at the moment without putting the airbox back on. And I've got a lovely new UASA battery to go in, which is exactly the same one that came out of it. So I'm going to get that put in, and then I want to check the functionality of the fuel pump and see if there's anything in the lines that it might push out, obviously while the tank's off, because I don't want to start putting gunky fuel back in these nice clean carbs again. So I'm going to get this battery fitted. There's only a couple of bolts, and then we'll carry on and do some checking on that side of things and see if everything's actually working. I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, I've actually got the complete fuel pump, I'm assuming this is a filter, and the reserve tap off now, because obviously I don't want to put anything that's inside these pipes or these valves or whatever, or the pump itself, into the freshly cleaned carbs. Now I don't think this pump's actually working, so I'm going to do a few electrical tests on it. Obviously it's got a 2-pin plug there, and I've got a little spare battery here I can use just to sort of see if I can power it up and see if we can get it going. So I want to have a little bit of investigation into this and carry on from there, I guess. Okay, I've just duly rigged up this little test rig here. I've got a screwdriver sticking out of one side and this earth wire here, which I can touch on that, like that. Now I've got a crocodile clip on the positive side connected to a test meter probe, so I can obviously probe the plug, get it inside there and get a good connection. And as you can see, that pump is actually working fine. So it may just be that it only runs when the bike's actually running rather than when you switch on the ignition. I don't know that for sure, but obviously that is confirmed that the pump is working, so that is great. So I'm going to get all these bits cleaned up. The pump inside actually looks really clean. Maybe you can probably can't really see inside there, but you can see it looks shiny. There you go. It's pretty clean in there, so I think that'll be alright, because obviously it's not had any fuel sitting in it, where it's all drained out. Saying that, one side looks a bit manky. I might spray some carb cleaning that side there, this side. We'll clean that out. I'll get all these pipes cleaned out here, get all this cleaned out, and then we can put all that back on. As you can see, it's got a load of crusty stuff around the bottom pipe of that there, just on the inlet there, so I'll get some carb cleaner in there, give that a clean out, and then we should be good to not flush any rubbish through, hopefully. Let's carry on. Taken both the pipes off of that reserve tap now, and as you can see, both sides are really got loads of crud inside them, so I'm going to get that all cleaned out first of all. So good job we did this, I think, because otherwise it would have been dragging all sorts of rubbish in there. God knows what's in the tank. We'll find out in a minute. Let's carry on. Just thought I'd show you the lovely stuff that's coming out the inside of this fuel tap. Look at all that, and I've had loads of that coming out. It's all grit and gunk and bits of hard stuff and all sorts of things in there, so that wouldn't have done it any good. Probably wouldn't have let much fuel through either, so definitely the right decision to take this one off, I think. I want to carry on going with this, and then we'll hopefully get it fitted back on. Okie doke, I've got all the fuel pump and pipe work back on there now. I've cleaned all that filter out as best I can for now. It's all free flowing, so it should be fine. I have got to get one new piece of pipe that goes from the tap to the tank. And talking of the tank, which is sitting here, it isn't good. Well, I say it isn't good. It's got, I don't know if you can see in there, there's a lot of, hang on, let's get the torch in there and show you at the same time. You can see over the back there, it is full of rust. Hang on a second. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to see if I can get my endoscope in here and maybe get a bit of footage of that. You can see it quite easily in the naked eye, but you can just about see there's a pile of rust over near that little filter that you can see sticking up. It's not a great picture, I know, but yeah, there's a lot of gunk in there, so we're going to, and it's all like brown. If you look at this piece here, it's all like brown varnish in there, and it almost looks like it maybe had a full tank in it when it was left, which is probably worst case scenario really, because it means that varnish is absolutely everywhere. So I'm going to get some, I've got some fuel, I'm going to get some fuel in there. I'm going to try and attempt to hoover it first with a piece of hose pipe on the end of my Henry Hoover, bend it round in there and see if we can pick up any of that stuff, and then we'll get some fuel in there and give it a good old slosh about and see what we can do. I'll come back to you in a minute. I will not be beaten. I've had some success with the tank. Ended up taking both the plugs off the bottom there, which is where the pipe's attached to. Now it's a bit risky, I know, because obviously they've got rubber seals on them, hoping they're going to reseal again. But in doing that, I managed to shake a lot of the loose rust out, and then the final little bits, I actually put the clear hose over one of these little fittings, and it fitted over the top of that perfect, and then shook the tank, and as it shook it up in the air, it sucked it all out. So now you've got no more rattly rust in the tank. So now we are ready to put some fuel in here and give it a good old slosh about and leave it overnight and see what we come to in the morning. Lovely, let's carry on. Okay, I've got the tank back together. I did take that filler neck off, but it obviously wasn't really much advantage, so I put the two spouts back on the bottom and I've linked them up with a piece of clear hose. Hopefully that will allow any sediment and stuff to actually lay in that hose, because it will be lower than everything else, and it does keep it sealed up. So I'm going to give it a good old shake up, leave the fuel in there overnight, see what we come back to in the morning, and obviously then we can drain it out of these two holes again at the bottom here. So hopefully any mank that's in there will come out with the fuel, and obviously we can see that when it comes out. I'll drain it into a clean bowl and we can see what we get. I'll come back to you tomorrow. Rightio, it's the next day, and this is what the petrol looked like when it came out of that tank. All the gunk on the side there. Now it's a hell of a lot better than it was, but it's nowhere near where I'd like it to be really. So what I've actually done is I've put a load of small nuts inside the tank, which I know is going to be a pain to get back out again, but I've actually put some lacquer thinner in there now as well. And I've been shaking it about with the small I think they were like M8 nuts or something like that, or M6 nuts, just to agitate everything inside and try and get rid of all the loose bits. It's never going to be totally clean, I don't think, but if I can get it the best I can get it, then obviously that'll be good. I've also got a new inline fuel filter to go in. In fact, I've got two, so obviously anything that this doesn't catch as far as getting stuff out of the tank, we can put the new inline fuel filter in. I may even replace this one with the new one. Yeah, so that should hopefully catch anything, stop it going into the carbs. And I've got a little small one to go in line to sort of double up as well, so that should be good hopefully. So I'm going to carry on doing this. It's going to take a long while, so I'm not going to bother filming it, because otherwise it's just me standing there shaking a tank about. So yeah, I'll carry on with this and I'll come back to you when I get some more progress. Right, as you can see there, I've run a lot of the fuel from the orange bucket, which I used initially, back through the tank again with the nuts in there, and shaking them all about and all the rest of it. And as you can see, the colour of that is, considering that's in a black bucket as well, it's quite a lot darker, so it has actually worked really quite well. I've done it bit by bit rather than putting the whole lot in one go this time, and that seems to have worked better because it allows the nuts and whatever to slosh about more inside, and obviously make a bit more of an impact on the inside of the tank to obviously knock all the loose bits off. So I think I'm just waiting for my torch to recharge up, because I was trying to look inside the tank this time around, the torch went flat, so I'm just waiting for that to charge up, and then I can have another look inside the tank and see obviously what it's like in there now. Now I'm not going to get all of it out, I know I'm going to have some sediment in there, but it should be enough for the filter to then catch whatever's left. Obviously you can't see it in a moment because it's dark, and I must say my torch has gone flat, but yeah, they're the new fuel filters I've got. I've got one big one and one smaller one, and I've also got a new piece of fuel hose as well, because the fuel hose, one of the ones on the bottom of this tank, was a little bit too short and it had been snapped off before and then rejoined again, so you didn't really have a lot of a chance of getting the tank on and then being able to push the pipes on the bottom because it was too short. So we've got some new pipe there for that as well, so that's good. So yeah, I'll wait for the torch to charge up and I'll show you inside the tank once I've done that. See you in a bit. Right, after much flushing in and out and all the rest of it, I'm hoping you can see in there now. I've used a dimmer light because it can go right inside. You can see in there now, that is as clean as it's going to be. There's no sediment left in there. There's no grit or rust or anything like that. I'm sorry I can't get a very good light in there, but it's quite difficult to show you. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it is a hell of a lot better than it was. And there's no loose stuff in there now. I even had the Henry Hoover in there. Now, one thing I would say is, if you're going to do this with the nuts or bolts inside, make sure you count them, because I counted them before I put them in, so I knew exactly how many were in there, and I knew exactly how many I had to get back out again. And you'll be pleased to know they all came back out with a bit of help from Henry Hoover. So took the bag out of the Hoover. 1 second. I'm going to try and get a brighter light so you can see it better. 2 seconds. I know this bit of videography isn't very good, but still. Right, you can see in there now, look. Yeah, it's got some staining on the bottom, but it is clean, really clean. There's no grit in there or anything like that. So anything that's left in there now is going to be very, very fine, and the filters will sort that out. Obviously en route to the carbs, so that'll be fine. So yeah, make sure if you do what I just did, count how many things you put inside it, because then you know how many you've got to get back out again. I know I've got them all out, so that's great. Right, I think we're time to get this put back together again and get the hoses put on and the new pipes and filters, and then we might be able to go for a start. Woohoo! Rightio, we are all back together, sort of. Not permanently, obviously, but the tank's back on there. The bottom half of the airbox is back on there. I've not put the top half or the filter in yet, because as soon as I touched it, I got a hole in it. I didn't want to suck all that through the carbs. So we're going to run no air filter for the minute. Obviously, we're running in the garage, so that should be fine. Now, I've just connected the battery, the new one, and I've had a bit of luck. Look at this. Remember the indicators that didn't work? Oh yeah, they're working now. Both sides. So it must have just been a voltage thing. Not allowing it to flash. So the indicators are all good. So that is absolutely superb. So I'm going to get some fuel put in the tank, and then it's going to be the moment of truth. See what happens. Also, I want to check the oil and the coolant as well. So I'm going to do that as well, make sure that everything's got enough in it before we start running it. I'll come back to you in a second when I put some fuel in the tank. Right, this is going to be the moment of truth. It's going to probably turn over for a little while, because obviously there's no fuel in any of the system, and the pump needs to pump it all round. It does, when you crank it, that's when the pump runs, because I've had my hand on it and I can feel it working when you crank it. So let's not forget the immobiliser this time, and give it a bit of choke. See what happens, I guess. Fingers crossed. This is the first time I've tried this, so filling up the float bowls. Let's try a bit less choke. I did have to add a little bit of oil to it, and the oil pressure light is going out, so that's good. Just wondering, I've got 2 wires there. Remember those 2 wires that I didn't connect before onto the earth? Just put a bolt through them so they've got something going to them, just in case that's making any difference. I'm just going to have a little look at the fuel filter as well while we're here, to see if there's any fuel in it. No fuel in the fuel filter yet. But does that mean that the fuel tap's not working? Fuel tap is on. Let's put it on reserve in case it's not got enough fuel in it to. I've only put 5 litres in it, so. Maybe we try a little bit of easy start, might help it. Hopefully I've got all the pipes run the right way. Still not got any fuel in that fuel filter though. It's not going to start if we've not got any fuel in the fuel filter. Tank looks alright. Can see through the fuel, so there's no gunk in there. So why is it not running? That's the question. Why is it not getting fuel through? I wonder whether I should power that pump up manually, like I did on the bench, and see if I can get some fuel to get through to it, just so I'm not cranking and cranking and cranking and running the battery down. I think I'm going to do that. I'll come back to you in a minute when I've got that set up. Right, I've done a bit of a bypass of the fuel tap. I don't think the fuel tap's working. Something in there is blocked up, so I've took that out of the system completely for a minute, and I've connected the fuel tank feed directly to the pump, and I've just manually done the pump with the battery, and as you can see now we've got fuel in there. So I'm going to get you set up here. In fact, let me keep it rolling and I'll set you up here, and let's see if this starts, because I really want to see this start now. Right, hang on, let's move you down so you can see what's going on. Let's have a look here. Right, oh, hang on, tripod's falling over. You're currently sitting on top of a three-wheeled van. Right, stay there, let's see what happens. I'm getting excited now because I reckon it might fire. We have got fuel in the fuel filter, so let's hope. I've connected the fuel pump back up to the bike, so that should work with it on the bike itself. Give it some choke. Yes! There's a bit of choke still. Might have flooded it. Hello? What's the fuel coming out of there? We may have to have this connected up by the looks of it, so let me connect this up. What is that supposed to go into? Right, hang on a minute. That's got to go in there. I'm guessing this must be some sort of a return loop for it, so let's put it on there. Otherwise we're going to have fuel everywhere. Put that on there. See what that does for us. Why is that not working now then? That is the question. Maybe I flooded it. I can hear fuel, so I think maybe I should cut there and see where it's coming from. It's dripping out somewhere. I didn't get it on camera, but I wasn't expecting it to go, but it just started up. No choke. Look at that! Yes! Lovely jubbly! I think I flooded it before, that's why. Didn't need the choke. Sounds good. Not revving it too hard because obviously it's only just started. chuffed now. Bit fumey. This is the first time it's run in 10 years. I'm going to let it warm up for a little while, and that's ticking over on its own now. Look, a bit smoky. It's probably got a load of crud in the engine and a load of fuel that I've just dumped down it, so I'll let that tick over for a little while and get a bit of warmth into it again. Lovely jubbly. It's been running for a couple of minutes now. I don't know if you can see. Look at the smoke. It's a little bit smoky, but it's cleaning up as it's running. I mean, bear in mind I've not got the fuel system as it should be at the moment. I've only got it with a direct line from the tank to the filter, but it does sound good. Listen to this. Put the airbox back on the top for now as well, just to sort of stop it sort of being so throaty, and then obviously make it breathe properly. Got a little bit of a stutter, but I mean, bearing in mind it hasn't run for a long while, I think that's pretty good. I'm well chuffed with that. I'm a bit miffed I didn't get it on camera, like actually starting, because although the initial start we did, I wasn't expecting it to start on the second one, because I blew the carbs out with a bit of air just to try and obviously get, if it had flooded, you know, get a bit of the fuel out of it. I just thought I'd just spin it over quick, and away it went instantly. So without any choke as well. So obviously it doesn't need a lot of choke, this bike by the seems of it. Maybe it's running a little bit rich, I don't know. But I'd like to get the temperature gauge up a little bit if I can. It has moved. It's just coming up to the top of the cold mark at the moment. So I mean, I know I've got the tank all up in the air like that, but it is quite good in a way, because it allows me to see inside here and to see if there's any leaks or anything, which doesn't appear to be any leaks at all, so that's really good. It sounds great, it sounds really nice. Slowing down a bit on the tick over at the moment, don't know why. Oh, it stops, there we go. See how easy it starts up. Maybe the tick over wants speeding up slightly. There is an adjustment on the side here on the carbs. Just speeds the tick over up very slightly, so that might want a little twiddle. But when you rev it, obviously it picks up again. So I don't know whether that wants adjusting or whether it's just the fact that it's not been started for a long while and it needs to warm up and get a bit of heat for it again. I can feel a little bit of heat going through it now. I had to put about 3/4 of a litre of oil in it. It was a bit low on oil. The coolant was okay. You can see it had green coolant in it, so that's good. So I am a happy bunny. Woo! Only thing I've got to sort out now is that damn fuel tap, because obviously that isn't working at all, because it's not letting any fuel through. And there was a lot of crap and gunk that came out of that, so I'm assuming that is going to need taking apart, if you can take it apart. It's got a screw on the front of it there, you see. So I'm hoping that I can take the front off and maybe get inside it and clean it all out properly. So that'll be the next task, because I think I looked online very briefly, the new one, these is about 80 quid, so it's quite expensive. So yeah, lovely jobby. Right then, that is going to be it for this week's video on MEC-TEC. Remember what I always say, I've said in the very first video or two videos, always end on a high. You've got it running, stop there and go away, and then you come back and carry on doing other stuff on it after, and you'll be happy as Larry. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first start on the bike. Obviously it does need a little bit of fettling, as we know, but my goal was to get it running and hear it and make sure the engine's all right and everything else. I knew it would be, but you know, it's just nice to hear it fire into life after all these years. So if you do like what you see, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give us a like on the video. That would really help me out. I have got Instagram, which is MEC_TEC 1985, and MEC-TEC on the Facebook page. You can look me up on both of those. I try and put a few pictures of what I'm doing during the week on there. And if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, then make sure you tune in again next time. Cheers guys.